Start. Oh, okay. It's 10:01. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is 10:01. Welcome to Town Meeting 2026. Can somebody turn the mic up in that case? Are we better now? Okay. Let's not get personal. Welcome to Town Meeting 2026, ladies and gentlemen. It has been our tradition to start this meeting with a poem for decades read by our unofficial poet laureate, Charlie Barish. Charlie has, I'm sorry to say, declined to read this year for understandable reasons. But I want to keep the tradition of a poem, and even though it was extremely cold last night, there is hope of spring and baseball season on the way. Therefore, I give you Casey at the bat. For your entertainment pleasure. The outlook wasn't brilliant for the Mudville Nine that day. The score stood 4-2 with but one inning left to play. And then, when Cooney died at first and Barrows did the same, a pall-like silence fell upon the patrons of the game. A straggling few got up to go in deep despair. The rest clung to the hope which springs eternal in the human breast. They thought, if only Casey could get a whack at that, we'd put up even money now with Casey at the bat. But Flynn preceded Casey, as also did Jimmy Blake, and the former was a hoodoo, and the latter was a cake. So upon that stricken multitude, grim melancholy sat, for there seemed to be no chance of getting Casey to the bat. But Flynn let drive a single to the wonderment of all, and Blake, the much despised, tore the cover off the ball. And when the dust had lifted and men saw what had occurred, there was Jimmy safe at second, and Flynn a hugging third. Then, from 5,000 throats and more, there rose a lusty yell. It rumbled through the valleys, it rattled in the dell, it pounded on the mountains and recoiled on the flat. For Casey, mighty Casey, was advancing to the bat. There was ease in Casey's manner as he stepped into his place. There was pride in Casey's bearings and a smile lit Casey's face. And when responding to the cheers, he lightly doffed his hat. No stranger in the crowd could doubt 'twas Casey at the bat. 10,000 eyes were on him as he rubbed his hand with dirt. 5,000 tongues applauded when he wiped them on his shirt. Then while the writhing pitcher ground the ball into his hip, defiance flashed in Casey's eyes, and a sneer curled Casey's lip. And now the leather-covered sphere came hurtling through the air, and Casey stood watching it in haughty grandeur there. Close by the sturdy batsman ball unsped. "That ain't my style," Casey said. "Strike one," the umpire said. From the benches black with people, there went up a muffled roar, like the beating of the storm waves on a small, stern, and distant shore. "Kill him! Kill the umpire!" shouted somebody in the stand, and it's likely they'd have killed him had not Casey raised his hand. With a smile of Christian charity great, Casey's vision shone, and he stilled the rustling tumult, and he bade the game go on. He signaled to the pitcher, and once more the dun sphere flew. But Casey still ignored it. And the umpire said, "Strike two!" "Fraud! Fraud!" cried the maddened thousands, and an echo answered, "Fraud!" But one scornful look at Casey, and the audience was awed. They saw his face grew stern and cold. They saw his muscles strain. They knew that Casey wouldn't let that ball go by again. The sneer is gone from Casey's lips. His teeth are clenched in hate. He pounds with cruel violence his bat upon the plate. And now the pitcher holds the ball, and now he lets it go, and now the air is shattered by the force of Casey's blow. Oh, somewhere in this favored land, the sun is shining bright. The band is playing somewhere, and somewhere hearts are light. And somewhere men are laughing, and somewhere children shout. But there is no joy in Mudville. The mighty Casey has struck out. The meeting's over now. Before I begin, I just want to just really briefly. I'm indebted. I'm sorry. I'm indebted to Rebecca Ellis, who's the town moderator in Waterbury. I put this in Front Porch Forum. Posted some really nice information about Robert's Rules, and I'll just go over a few of these before we start. So the discussion can only begin after an article is moved and seconded. Each person may speak once until everybody else who wants to speak has spoken. Motions can be amended, but only once. Motions can be amended, and the amendment can be amended only once, meaning you cannot amend to the third degree. If you want a motion to call the question, meaning ending debate, in order to do that, you cannot shout that out from the floor. You must be recognized. And when you are recognized and you say, I wish to call the question or call the previous question, either one is acceptable. That stops debate. That is won by a 2/3 majority. You'll notice when I call for a voice vote, I'll ask for the yeas and nays. I will say the yeas appear to have it, or the nays appear to have it. I will wait after I say that. I am waiting for somebody to say division of the House, which means you're not unsure of how I called the vote, either yay or nay. Anybody who wants a division of the House, you don't have to be recognized. Say division of the House, and then we will count the votes by hand. We can also, on any motion, have a paper ballot. I would ask you to please remember, it takes 7 votes to sustain a paper ballot. So the person who calls for it, 6 others. I would remind you that a paper ballot takes forever. So that's that. I also want to just acknowledge very quickly that Paula Emery is here to help me. Paula has been, she's been helping. If you have an amendment, if you have an amendment and you can possibly write it down, that would be most helpful. If you need help formulating an amendment, I will do my very best to help you do that. And Paula has also kept a queue and helps me because I don't hear very well, and she can speak into my right ear. So with that said, before we take up Article 1, our Representative Mark Mahaly and Senator Andy Perchlik are here. With no objection, by unanimous consent, let me put it this way, is there unanimous consent to allow our elected representatives to speak before the meeting? Okay, yes, there is unanimous consent. I wanted silence, but I'm going to take that as unanimous consent. Ladies and gentlemen, Representative Mahaley, Senator Birchley. I didn't need to hear Casey at the bat after being in the legislature. I kept hoping that he'd hit the ball, but oh well. I kept hoping that Casey would hit the ball. It just reminded me too much of the legislature. Just first of all, where we are really quickly, we're about to be half over. That is, not this Friday, next Friday. We have to have all of our bills out of our committees and over to the Senate. And same thing for them. So they go like this. So it's kind of hard to know what's going to happen. But just a few observations really quickly. One is the craziness in Washington is unfortunately affecting us. It really, the federal government's efforts at the state level are kind of collapsing. You know, there's just a lot of money that we used to get about a third of our budget, more I guess, came from the federal government, and it's going to be less. And Andy's going to tell you he's head of appropriations in the Senate, struggling with this. But I just tell my committee all the time, there's no money. You know, it's a real problem. Also, although I'm head of the Housing Committee, I care a lot about flooding. Guess why? And so I had a bill last session which created a study, and this session, I think that bill has another bill to do disaster relief planning and set up a real system that works fast. I mean, fast, in the event of a problem at the dam. So I just keep pushing that issue because I really believe Plainfield and Marshfield and really East Montpelier all would be in terrible trouble if there's a problem at that dam. So we're working on it. Everybody knows that there's not enough housing and what we've got is too expensive. And so I'm just going to say I'm spending my time trying to make housing easier to permit, less bureaucracy, trying to make it easier to finance, and trying to make it a little harder to challenge. Not impossible, but a little harder, so that we get, you know, people who want to build can build. I'm spending a lot of time this session on rural towns and helping small towns, and like this one, build if they want. Healthcare is a total mess, as you know. I don't have to tell you, but we did pass legislation that allows better negotiation over drug prices. And that saved $230 million. That sounds like a lot of money? It ain't. Compared to the total cost of healthcare, $230 million is a drop in the bucket, but it's something, and we're continuing to work on it. Education, I think I'll let Andy talk about education. For me, just in a word, I think the most important thing is to figure out how to change the financing. I mean, we're spending more and more money, and we're not getting the quality we want, and everybody knows that. The last thing I'll say is there are a number of bills in the House that would increase the tax rate for the most wealthy Vermonters. I have to say, although generally I don't think there's much room for a lot more taxes in Vermont, the most wealthy Vermonters have received huge tax benefits from the federal government. They're just paying a lot less. And the federal government wants the states to take over everything, so I think some of that savings has to come back to the state, and I support that.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, and I agree. And there's work happening in the Senate. Your other two senators, Ann Watson and Ann Cummings. Ann Cummings is on the chair of the Finance Committee, and they're working through a couple different ways of taxing the highest income brackets, moving a bracket like to those that are making over $500,000, having a new marginal tax above that. So yeah, definitely support that. Hopefully we can find a way to get it past the governor, because the governor has been very clear that he would veto anything like that. But maybe as part of a whole package on education, we would have something that the governor can support. On education, I wanted to just say that we're working on trying to, maintain local schools. Some of us are trying to maintain local control and good schools, but at the same time, we hear that we know that we need to do something about property taxes and the whole education system, as how complicated it is and how there isn't as direct connection to your vote on your local budget and what your taxes are. So we're trying to fix that. So I think there's agreement between the governor and the majority of the legislators that we should do something. We'll likely move to a foundation formula, but how the new districts get formed is really the sticking point. I'm supporting the Senate Education Committee is trying to do a more bottom-up or organic kind of decisions on how the new districts are created, where the governor's proposal is more just top-down, just like Montpelier has to do it, we will decide. But I think that usually just doesn't work, because they're going to make mistakes, all different towns throughout the state. But I wanted to do a quick poll. I did this on Sunday in Marshfield. And also I want to say, Jim, you guys are all packed in here. I feel guilty in Marshfield that we have the school, we're all spread out very comfortably when we're there. We probably don't have that many more people than you do here in Plainfield. Yeah, but it's much cozier here. So if Plainfield was to merge with another district, I just want a quick poll to see whether you would support, where you would rather, you have three choices. Move towards U32, move west towards the Montpelier area or the U32 district. Just kind of stay where we are or have our attention focused east to the Danville, the Caledonia district. Or the third option is you either don't care, need more information, or want something else. So if you just a show of hands, who would rather have Twinfield merge east to the U32 district? Okay, thank you. And who would rather stay with the Caledonia or kind of east to the Danville area, St. J? Okay, and then who's the third option? Like, don't care, don't know, have another option. Okay, that's helpful. That's similar to what the vote was in Marshfield. And I'm on the Transportation Committee and the Appropriations Committee. I just wanted to say something about transportation. We're having trouble in the Transportation Fund as we are with the General Fund. The General Fund is, as Mark talked about, the federal government. Not that the government's not just pulling back, but they're also completely chaotic and erratic. They'll say you have 65 million, you don't have 65 million. Oh, there's 80 million coming, but we don't know when it's coming. So it's very hard for the state to budget when they're drawing back, there's lawsuits, they're drawing back funds, saying that they're just holding it, but they may give it to us later. So it's making it very difficult to have the federal government as a partner in a lot of things. The one exception is on transportation. The federal government is meeting our kind of current needs for federal funding for transportation, but the state pays somewhere around 30% of all the transportation costs, and our revenue through gas tax and other things is not keeping up. So we're having trouble keeping up with the paving and the bridges and things like that. So we're trying to figure that out. What's the best way to make that gap? Because we want to be able to pull down all the federal funds, but right now we have about a $30 million gap. We would leave kind of money on the table if we didn't find that money. And one other thing that we're working on, one thing that I've heard from constituents the whole 7.5 years that I've been there, is about our vehicle inspection system. And we've tried to amend it and work on it before, because a lot of Vermonters have had a lot of trouble with getting their vehicles inspected, not feeling that it was a safety issue, but being told that they had to get repairs done, $1,200 rotor jobs and things like that, when they weren't really sure that the car only had 4,000 miles on it. So I had a bill to get rid of safety inspections entirely. There's no evidence that it really makes the streets or the populace more, yeah, thanks, more safe. We're one of only 9 states that do annual inspections. You go to other states that don't have inspections, there's not more accidents, the crashes aren't worse. So, but the DMV, the Scott's administration doesn't support just getting rid of it. So we're trying to work with DMV to just basically completely redo the inspection manual so that rust, if your high beam light isn't on, you don't pass inspection. Right now, if you just have a small crack in the side window, you don't pass inspection. So just get rid of all those. And so it's really only some kind of very drastic, like your brake lines are broken or something. And then everything else would just be basically a warning. So I'm hopeful that we can make that major change to our vehicle inspection system so that Vermonters can drive their cars, because it's a major expense. It's basically just an unvoted on tax of Vermonters to do all these repairs on their cars. And yeah, I think that's the update.
The moderator has made it clear that I would strike out if we took any more time. So if you have questions or you want to talk to us. You know how to reach me. And I'll just tell you right now, my personal email is Mark, my name. It's just mark@mahali.org. And send me an email. Reach out.
Thank you, Mark and Andy. Okay, we're just about to, is this microphone on? Can you hear me well enough? Okay, before we get into Article 1, I neglected to say at the beginning, when you are recognized, each time you speak, please state your name. And also, today, when you are recognized, the microphone will be brought to you. I would ask you to stand unless if mobility is a problem, and you can't, of course. But it'd helpful if you stand. Please state your name every single time you speak. Absolutely. Paula?
I'm keeping stack, which means I'm going to take your name and just cross you off when you've spoken and go to the next person. I may or may not know your name, and so I may ask you for your name, but I'll point to you when it's your turn. Okay, so just, you don't have to keep your hand up. Just, when I do this, it means I saw you and I got you. All right?
Okay.
If you have a mask on, I might not recognize you.
Thank you. Article 1. Shall the general obligation bonds or notes in an amount not to exceed $700,000, subject to reduction by the application of federal and state grants and aid and reserve funds, be issued for the purpose of constructing water system improvements, namely replacement of the water line on School Street, the estimated cost of such improvements being $700,000. May I have a motion on Article 1, please? It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. Do we know who moved and seconded?
I see Tim Phillips move to second. Scott.
Discussion on Article 1. Peter?
Articles 1, 2, and 3 are the subject of the Australian ballot, not floor action.
I thank you for the correction.
Yeah, those are the things that are people should be voting.
I thought it was only Article 3 that was that. So, never mind. Article 4, to hear reports on the town officers, hear reports of the town officers and act on the same. May I have a motion on Article 4? Motion. Been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. We need names of the first and second.
Scott Stewart and Tim Phillips.
Discussion on Article 4. Dan?
Thank you. As much as I love Robert's rules, we're about to hear about 15 different reports. And I wonder if, since it's one article on the ballot, if we could just have one vote at the end of the 15 reports rather than having 15 different votes. And so I guess I would make that an amendment to the motion.
Okay.
That we do one article vote rather than individual committee votes.
Okay, it's been moved that we vote on all the town reports in one vote. Is there a second?
Second, Jeremy.
Discussion. Seeing none, Am I missing discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of voting on all the town reports in one, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. And we will vote all in one. Is there any further discussion on the town reports? Any further discussion or questions on the town reports? Yeah, Charlie.
Charlie Cockville.
The mic is going to come to you.
Charlie Cockville, am I correct in that there is no treasurer's report in the town reports?
I'm not going to answer that. Peter?
Yes. There is no narrative report from the treasurer in the report. There are 4 normal financial reports. 2 of them are printed, and there is a note that the other 2 were not ready when this went to press, and they will be posted on the town website when they are completed.
Any other discussion on Article 4, the town reports, or questions on the town reports? Seeing none? Oh, in the back. Yep, please, go ahead. The mic is coming your way.
I know we are in an electronic age, but I find the idea of publishing on the website essential reports that are late completely unacceptable. That's not, I mean, I'm dumbfounded that anybody would think that was acceptable. Not everybody has access, partially because some of us don't have really great internet access, but other people just may not be internet savvy. And it just seems like if that's the case, then what the board should be doing is delaying town meeting until there can be complete reports available to people ahead of time to peruse. I know another time we had an insert in the town report at the town meeting, and I think there needs to be a lot of thought about the process and what it means in terms of accessibility and transparency to follow that kind of process that was followed this time and previous times.
Any other discussion on Article 4? Seeing none? Carl?
Yeah, I just have a comment to
Yeah,
respond.
by all means.
We do.
Before you do, folks, I have a tendency not to look up sometimes. If you're up in the balcony, please make a noise so that you get recognized in case I don't look up there. Thank you.
We have a list of people that do not have access to electronic reports. And so they would have a report sent to them by mail. I don't know if that answers your concern, but we do recognize people, not everybody's online.
Rose Paul?
Yeah, Rose Paul. I just would like a clarification. On the select board report, are we voting to accept the financial report as well as the narrative report?
Yes, I believe we are.
Well, okay.
Somebody tell me if I'm wrong, please. Do you mean the budget?
Well, there's the budget. Sorry, all I know is baby talk. There's the budget that is for the coming year.
Yes.
But then there's the finances that review the past year, and the past year has no actuals in it. It just represents the budget for that year, but we don't know how the numbers worked out. Mm-hmm. So I guess with that clarification, I would like to have a separate vote on the select board's, the entire select board report.
I don't Rose, I don't think we can reconsider the vote at this time, since we already voted to accept them all at once. I think it might be possible to reconsider the vote if somebody who voted on the winning side, which would you can ask for, I think you can ask for a reconsideration. Did you vote aye, Rose?
Yes.
Then I believe you can ask for reconsideration. I'm not, is that what you want to do?
Yes, please.
Okay, so is there a second? So it's been moved and seconded to reconsider the vote. Let me see if I can help. If I say this, Rose, would your motion be, I move that we reconsider the vote to take all the reports at once and discuss the select person's report? Is that a fair?
I would simply like to have the select board report separated out. So if I like your wording, but the rest of them can be lumped.
No,
but the select board
it would
pulled
only
out.
involve the select board report, what I'm saying. So if you would say, I move that we reconsider the vote to take all the reports at once and have a discussion about the select board report. I didn't hear.
It's not the discussion, it's the vote.
It's
The vote.
They're saying it's the vote.
It's not the discussion.
I'm
on the
asking
select
Rose
board
to state
report.
her amendment.
It's the vote on, well, what she said is she didn't want the select board report voted on with all the other reports. So it's not a question of discussion. It's a question of being voted on separately, if I'm understanding correctly. But that's not what how you phrased it for her. And I see Rose shaking her head yes. So I'm thinking that rather than saying to have the discussion separately, what you wanted to say is to have the vote separately for the select board report.
I'm not sure I heard that.
They're saying it's not the discussion, it's the vote that they're separating out. I think that it was initially stated as...
Rose, are you asking for a discussion or a vote?
I would like a separate vote, please.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that there be a separate vote, not discussion, as I understand. Thank you for the correction. All those in favor of having a separate vote? Peter?
Yeah, Peter Youngbear, could I ask a question of clarification, what you're looking for here? You talked about budget numbers. There is a vote, the later article when we vote on the select board proposed budget, but it sounded like you were talking about something else. Other than the select board's proposed budget, the only other select board report is the narrative. I think you're asking, it sounded to me like you were asking something about the treasurer's reports.
Well, I may not understand properly, but the whole financial report of the prior year, there are normally actuals. How did that year end up? Were you under, over? What was the variance? I didn't see that in this year's report.
Right, and that is a notification. It actually appears twice in the report that says those two financial reports were not available and are not available. We have been without basically an acting treasurer since the middle of December, and we have a contract with an accounting firm, a CPA firm, who is completing that work, and that work is not yet done, which is why it is not appearing.
Okay, so maybe I misunderstood and I thought all those financials were part of the select board report. If they're part of the treasurer report and we're not voting on it because we don't have a complete treasurer's report, then I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay, thank you, Rose. Okay, any further discussion on Article 4? In that case, all those in favor of accepting the reports of the town, Article 4 reads, to hear the reports on the town offices and act on the same. All those in favor of accepting the town reports, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you have accepted the town officers' reports, the town reports. Article 5, shall the town vote to raise, appropriate, and expend the...
Any discussion until there's another article.
Are you making a point of order, sir?
Yeah, I am, actually.
What is your point of order?
Philip Parisi, you're not asking for abstentions.
No,
And isn't that part of Robert's rules?
I don't believe it is.
Huh. Okay, well then I'm glad you're not at the faculty assembly at Linden.
Okay. Article 5, shall the town vote to raise, appropriate, and expend the sum of $6,833.06 for the support of Rural Community Transportation Incorporated to provide services to the residents of Plainfield? May I have a motion on Article 5, please? Moved and seconded.
Scott, okay, so we got Scott moved and Tim seconded? Uh-huh.
Discussion on Article 5. Yep, Dan?
Mike. Can we record this one too?
I'll just say, obviously, this is an important infrastructure in our town, the rural community transportation, and the actual sum they've asked for is totally flat, so they weren't asking for any more than we gave last year. So I think for both this and the next article, they're both flat requests from these transportation providers. So hopefully we can all vote yes.
Okay, any further discussion? Yes.
Rebecca?
Rebecca Young.
Thank you. I just wanted to let people know, and I am in support of this article, but I just wanted to let people know that they just canceled the mid-afternoon route, Route 2 commuter route. So if anyone is relying on that, I knew because a family member got a flyer on the bus, but even calling to check if it was running this week, there was not a lot of information. It was hard to get confirmation that yes, indeed, they canceled that route. So just want people to know that, and I would hope that there's an opportunity to try to get that back, because I think that there are people that were relying on that. That was the run that picked up in Plainfield at like 3:25 or something like that on weekdays. So just wanted to let people know that don't count on riding that one anymore.
Okay. Are you ready for the question on Article 5? Seeing none, the question is, shall the town vote to raise, appropriate, and expend the sum of $6,833.06 for the support of Rural Community Transportation Incorporated to provide services to residents of the town of Plainfield? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you've accepted Article 5. Article 6.
Point of order?
Yes, what is your point of order?
I missed something, and it's regarding Article 4, and I apologize that I couldn't speak about this earlier, but I thought that the change in motion was to accept all the reports in one vote. But we haven't actually heard the reports. For instance, we haven't heard from the energy coordinator. We haven't. When do we actually hear the reports?
Michael, I'm going to have to rule you out of order because we are beyond that, and it's just it is out of order because we've already accepted it.
Okay.
It would have been your argument is perfectly acceptable if it had been raised during that discussion, Michael.
Okay, so point of information.
By the way, my ruling can be overruled by a majority if anybody wants to.
So maybe I'll put it differently as a point of information. When will we hear the reports of the town officers?
They're in the,
There usually is a verbal report. I mean, I'm just saying that in custom, that's been the case.
Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I think during that point when Donnie asked if there was discussion 12 different times, that was the time if anybody wanted to speak to their report, they could have done so.
Yeah.
Maybe that could have been clearer, but that is, we've moved past that. So I think there is the other whatever the last article is. If folks really need to speak, they could always do it then.
Yeah, I mean, I frankly, and I don't want to take any more time on it than you do, but I thought we were voting after the reports. We would only vote once. In other words, hear all the votes and only vote once. We would hear the reports and only vote once, and that's why I didn't discuss anything, because I thought I was just voting about how many times we'd vote.
I can see where that is a confusion, and I don't, that might have been confusing, and I'm not sure what to do. Yes, please state your name when you, state your name.
Carla Siegel, and I'm Carla Siegel, and it was just our experience that people stand up and talk about their reports, and so we just expected that. I also thought that we were just saying that at the end we'd vote en masse, but it seems like other people thought that.
There's a hand in back.
You don't need to bring the mic all the way back here, but just affirming that I also thought we were going to hear reports
Your
and then
name?
vote on all of them. Sorry, Ren Lansky.
Ren?
Lansky, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Peter, do you? Okay.
Donnie?
I think what I would say at this point is I think those points are well taken. It was misunderstood. I don't know how to go back on the order at this point because we have gone beyond the article. So it would be wrong to go back. There was a chance to reconsider. If it was misunderstood for whatever reason, I'm sorry. I didn't understand it. There was clearly confusion. But I don't believe that it would be in order to go back after we have passed the article. Dan?
Yeah, so Article 14, which is the last article, is to transact any other non-binding business that may properly become before the meeting. I think if there are folks who want to verbally report that don't get a chance to, they could stand and be recognized during that period.
Say that again, please.
Article 14, which is the non-binding. If, let's say, the emergency management director wanted to speak to his report, he could do it during that time. You could recognize him then, and we could hear from the reports.
So come up under other business.
Yeah, it's not called that, but yeah.
Okay. We're going to move on. Article 6. Shall the town of Plainfield appropriate the sum of $1,499 as its share of the 2024 year cost of commuter bus service along Route 2 with service into Montpelier. This appropriation funds a portion of the total cost of the service, which will be supported by appropriations from other towns, state, federal funds, and passenger fares. May I hear a motion on Article 6? It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
We have them.
Scott and Tim.
Discussion, Peter?
I would move to amend. I think there's a typo there that should read 2026, not 2024.
Seconded.
It should read, so Peter, will you make that, and I think it needs an amendment.
Yeah.
So,
Amend that to read 2027, fiscal year.
so it's been moved. Is there a second?
Jeremy Mass.
Yes.
So it's been moved and seconded to amend Article 6 to read, shall the town of Plainfield appropriate the sum of $1,499 as its share of the 2026 year cost? 27. The year of 27, cost of the commuter bus service along Route 2 with service into Montpelier. This appropriation funds a portion of the total cost of the service, which will also be supported by appropriations of other towns, state and federal, and passenger fares. We are voting on the amendment.
So, your name, please?
This discussion on the amendment.
Timothy Buxton. So you are doing it correct now. You are voting on the amendment.
Correct.
With the previous article, Dan made an amendment to act upon all the reports at once, and what we should have voted on was voted on the amendment. If the amendment was accepted, then we would have voted that way. But anyways, the decision is made, been moved forward. This is the correct way to do it. We're voting on the amendment, and then we will vote on the
You are
amendment.
correct, and it is my apologies.
No, but it's okay.
You are correct.
We're good. Thank you.
Again,
Up in the balcony, you bring hand up.
yep.
I have a point of information on the article, not the amendment, so I'll wait.
I think we can do that in other business when we get there.
No, it's on the article.
Okay. So, any further discussion on the amendment, which basically changes the year 2024 to 2027? I won't read it again. Any further discussion on that amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. And you have amended Article 6. Any further discussion on Article 6 as amended?
We have Ren who's going to come down the stairs.
I just have a point of information on Article 6, which is how is it different than Article 5? My understanding is that RCT, Rural Community Transit, is the agency that runs the Route 2 commuter, and then Article 6 is about the Route 2 commuter. I just don't understand the difference between the two line items.
Yeah, folks are saying up here 2 different entities.
Green Mountain Transit and Rural Community Transit.
Do they both run?
They're separate.
They do, I think, both
Together, and we just pay them separately.
Okay? Any further discussion on Article 6? Are you ready for the question? Yes? Right. Yep. Please say your name.
And there's a microphone coming to you.
Both of these rural transit companies have been cutting, John Hosford, have been cutting their routes regularly, Green Mountain Transit a lot last year. Is there anything in our contracts with them that we get money back when they stop servicing us?
Any further discussion on Article 6 as amended? Seeing none, all those in favor of accepting, I'll read it again since it's amended. Article 6 as amended reads, shall the town of Plainfield appropriate the sum of $1,499 as its share of the 2027 year cost of commuter bus service along Route 2 with service into Montpelier. This appropriation funds a portion of the total cost of the service, which will be supported by appropriations from other towns, state, and federal funds and passenger fares. All those in favor of accepting Article 6, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you have accepted Article 6. Article 7. Shall the town voters authorize the expenditures for the following nonprofit service agencies as recommended by the appointed Social Concerns Committee? Capstone Community Action, $500. Central Vermont Basic Education, $400. Central Vermont Council on Aging, $1,450. Central Vermont Home Health and Hospice, $3,100. Circle, $525. Elevate Youth Services, $550. The Family Center of Washington County, $500. Good Beginnings, $400. Good Samaritan Haven, $1,250. Neighbors in Action, $250. Onion River Food Shelf, $1,000. Our House, $100. People's Health and Wellness Center, $1,000. Twin Valley Senior Center, $4,650. Twin Valley Together Mentoring Program, $250. Vermont Center for Independent Living, $175. Washington County Diversion, $400, for a total of $16,500. May I have a motion on Article 7? Jana? Osman? Jana?
Okay, so, wow, okay, this is really throwing me off. Jana moved. Yeah.
Second?
Jeremy.
Okay.
You got it, Paula. Thank you. Discussion on Article 7. Steve, state your name.
Stephen Farnham. I'm not proposing to change any of these because that's a very painstaking process. It'll take all day. But what I would like to know is a little more information about the numbers. I broke out my calculator last night and discovered that in some of these situations we're paying as little as $1.66 per person served, and on a couple of the others it was as much as almost $70 per person served. Some instances it was a family served as opposed to a person. And I guess I'd like a little more context about what this means. You know, maybe some of these organizations have significant funding from elsewhere and they're just looking for a matching grant, and maybe others, this is the only money they get. I think a little more information about that would be helpful to understand how these numbers were arrived at.
Further discussion. Judy? Judy Cyprian.
Judy Cyprian, I'm a member of the Social Concerns Committee. Can you hear me now? Okay. Judy Cyprian, I'm a member of the Social Concerns Committee. Would it be helpful if I explained the process? So towns put in a request for funding every year, and then we consider that request. I have to say, we think all the organizations that put in requests are totally worthy of our support. But we have to consider the budget and, you know, what the town can afford. So we look at the requests, and we have some criteria that we use to make our decisions about how much funding. And some of that criteria is, what are they asking for? How much of an increase is it? How unique are their services to Plainfield? Are they local, which we support more than a statewide organization? How many people do they serve? So there's a lot of things that we consider, and so we really base it on what was their request. Have they been somebody that we funded in the past, which isn't, I mean, we also fund new things. And we just try and make a decision. We don't break it down into how much per person. Also a member.
You have to be recognized. Now you are.
Okay. Hi, I'm Marcy Halle, and I'm also on the Social Concerns Committee. And the other thing about the numbers is that the groups asking for money tell us sometimes how much they're spending. So it's not equal for group to group. So one group might say it costs $100 per family, and another group might say it costs $25 per person. It just varies. And some of them are just asking for a show of support so that they could get other major funding, and they're not really asking for us to give significant support. So it varies so much from group to group. And some, I really think they should ask for more. Not that we can give more, but it really is based on what they ask for. We can't give them more than they ask for. One group actually asked for less. I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but that's what they did. Yeah, it just varies so much. Does that help?
Are you ready for the question, or are there more? Is there more discussion? Seeing none, if you are ready for the question is, shall the town voters authorize the expenditures for the following nonprofit services as recommended by the appointed Social Concerns Committee for a total of $16,500? I won't read them all. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. And you have passed Article 7. Article 8. Shall the town voters authorize an appropriation of $56,000 to the Cutler Memorial Library to pay for the librarian, a library assistant, and the purchase of materials and services, including those to make the library accessible to the community?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second. Your name? Carla? Steve Farnham moved.
It's been moved and seconded to accept Article 8. Discussion? Seeing none? All those in favor of Article 8, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you've passed Article 8. Article 9. Shall the town approve $311,874 for the operation of the water department for the period of July 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2027, to be paid for by the ratepayers of the system? May I have a motion on Article 9? Been moved second? Second. Moved and seconded. Discussion on Article 9, please. Steve?
I would...
Say your name again.
Stephen Farnham. I would like to amend that to state the users of the system, not the ratepayers, because the ratepayers doesn't tell you who they are.
Okay. So, Steve, you want to amend this?
Exactly the same, just substitute users for ratepayers.
So the is there a second to this amendment? Seconded.
What's your name?
Okay, so now we are on the amendment. It has been moved and seconded that Article 10 shall read, shall the town approve $392,055 for the operation of wastewater department for the period of July 1st, 2026 to July 30, 2027, to be paid for by the users of the system? Article 9. I'm sorry, Article 9, by the users of the system. Any further discussion on the amendment? Dan?
So just for clarification, the ratepayers in the system are the users of the system. The reason we use ratepayers is the Vermont League of Cities and Towns attorneys have told us that's the best way for us to word this. We should be using ratepayers because we wouldn't want a situation where there was some sort of weird definition of user that if you're gone for 6 months, you're only half a user or something like that. So I would say we should reject this amendment because it makes it unclear who's paying the bill, whereas ratepayers is a clear distinction in law and with the water and wastewater department. So please vote no on this amendment.
Further discussion on the amendment up in the balcony?
Just to say, a user could be a renter.
Please, we need your name, please.
Janice Warren. A user could be a renter. They're not the ones paying it, they're paying rent. So it should be the property owner defined by, as Dan said, the rate payer.
Further discussion on the amendment? Seeing none. Oh, yep.
I can yell. Jeremy, Matt, we should follow the advice, or follow the advice of the lawyers, is what I think.
Yep. Then you would vote, apparently, according to Dan, then you would vote no on this amendment.
Correct.
So, any further discussion on the amendment? The amendment, as put forward, would read, shall the town approve $392,055 for the operation of the wastewater department for the... Oh, I'm sorry.
They all look the same.
I'm going to take a vacation when this is over. We're on 9. Shall the town approve $311,874 for the operation of the water department for the period of July 1st, 2026 to June 30, 2027, to be paid by the users of the system? That's the amendment. That's what we're voting on. No, we're voting on the amendment now. We're voting on the amendment now. This is...
That's the amendment.
Every now and again, I'm correct. The amendment basically changes ratepayers to users. Is everybody clear? And are we ready for the question? All those in favor of the amendment, which basically changes ratepayers to users, say aye. All opposed, say no. No. The nays appear to have it. And the nays do have it. And we are back to the original Article 9. Any further discussion on Article 9? Seeing none. If you are ready for the question now is, shall the town approve $311,847 for the operation? We're here, right? Article 9. Yeah. Shall the town approve $311,874 for the operation of the water department for the period of July 1st, 2026 to June 30, 2027, to be paid for by the ratepayers of the system? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it.
Point of order.
What is your point of order? Amen. I think now we're finally on Article 10. Okay. Article 10. Shall the town approve $392,055 for the operation of the wastewater department for the period of July 1st, 2026 to June 30, 2027, to be paid for by the ratepayers of the system? Can I have further discussion on Article 10? That's hard to accept that as discussion. In that case, if you are ready for the question is, shall the town approve $392,055 for the operation of wastewater system for the period of July 1st, 2026 to June 30, 2027, to be paid by the ratepayers of the system? All those in favor of Article 10 say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. And you've passed Article 10. Article 11. Shall the town approve total fund expenditures of, I had to rehearse this number. Shall the town approve the total fund expenditures of $1,842,047.44 to pay for administrative operations, fire and rescue department and highway department of the town of Plainfield for the period of July 1, 2026 to June 30, 2027, of which $1,326,787.47 shall, 44 cents. It's just 3 cents, for God's sake. Shall be raised, and I'll start from the beginning. Article 11. Shall the town approve a total fund expenditure of $1,842,447.44 to pay for administrative operations, fire and rescue department and highway department of the town for the period of July 1, 2026 to June 30, 2027, of which $1,326,787.44 shall be raised by taxes, and $515,260 by non-tax revenue. May I have a motion?
I move that this article be postponed to a date set by the select board after the full financial reports have been received. I don't see how we can possibly do a vote on this without having complete financial reports. My motion is that this be postponed and not voted on at this meeting. That's not a point of order, that's a motion. It's a motion on the article to not vote on it during this meeting. It's not out of order.
You weren't called up.
You don't have to, everybody else goes so moved. And so I don't go so moved. I move that we do not vote on it at this town meeting, and it be voted on at a date certain after all the financial reports have been received.
You've got me confused now. You have not been recognized. Right now you are out of order. You need to be recognized to
Okay,
speak.
could you recognize me, please?
There is also no second so far. Peter, did you have a point of order?
I have moved, Scott moved.
I will second.
Tim second.
I'm sorry, I don't know what
Scott moved, Tim Phillips seconded. Now we're at discussion.
Okay, so now we're at discussion of the motion. Do you wish to make an amendment, Sasha? Do you wish to make an amendment? You may make an amendment.
I'm moving that we not vote on this, not to make an amendment to the content. I am moving that the vote on this Article 11 be delayed to a time after which all the financial reports have been received. I'm not asking to delay the entire town meeting, but I'm asking and moving that this article not be voted on at this town meeting. It be voted on at a subsequent town meeting at a date set by the select board after all financial reports have been received, including...
Are you moving to postpone to a definite time?
I'm not moving to postpone to a definite time because so far nobody has any idea when the audit, formal financial audit will be done. So I'm moving to postpone vote on this article to a date set by the select board after all financial reports have been received, including the financial report for the previous year.
Can you put it in writing, please? It would be very helpful if you could put your
I'll be
motion in
happy
writing.
to do that for Paula.
I think what you're trying to do is postpone indefinitely. That's what I see as I understand my Robert's Rules of Orders. It would be very helpful, Sasha, if you would put your amendment in writing, please.
Well, I don't know what the effect of postponing indefinitely is, and I do want to relate it. I do want to relate it to a time to be set by the select board after all the financial reports have been received, including the one for done by the auditors. I'll try and write it out, but you probably have a recording somewhere.
Dan?
I won't weigh in on this postponing, though I do believe in Robert's rules, you either have to postpone to a date or postpone indefinitely. Those are your two choices. You can't postpone to other action. But what I wanted to say is, so, we haven't had a town treasurer who's been physically able to do the job since early December, and so I just wanted to explain how the select board came to a budget that we have today. So when we knew Josh was out, the board selected two of us, Peter Youngbear and myself, to work independently on the budget. We contracted with Sarah Macy, who is the director of finance for the city of St. Albans. And so we worked through our budget. We worked with all the different departments within the town for how much they've spent in the last years and this year. We did also speak with the Batchelder and Associates, who were the auditors who we've been working with, and using their financial acumen, along with a lot of input from all of the different departments and volunteers and folks in town, we created this budget that is a little under 2% under last year's taxed amount. So it's actually not even a flat budget. It's a negative budget, partly because we have some funding we're able to pull across from this budget into next year's budget, and those numbers were verified by Sarah Macy, the financial director of the city of St. Albans, along with the folks at the Batchelders and Associates. So we worked very diligently for about 2 months to come up with those numbers, and it is not an issue of us not knowing what the budget should be, what we spend, or anything else. There are some official reports, some official auditing reports that just take time that we don't have because we didn't have a treasurer for those times. It is not a situation where we don't know what's going on in the town finances. So I think that's probably fair. And I don't know if Peter has anything to add, but.
I am reading. The two choices, it seems to me, parliamentary are either to postpone to a definite time or postpone indefinitely. I have been handed this. In Vermont town, this is from Robert's Rules of Order. In Vermont town meetings, which are governed by Robert's Rules of Order, as modified by state statute, the motion to postpone indefinitely acts as a procedural tool to kill a main motion, a warrant article, without having to take a direct vote on the issue itself. Here are the specific effects and rules for this action in Vermont. Final disposition for the session. If a motion to postpone indefinitely is adopted, it effectively defeats the original main motion article for the duration of that specific town meeting. It avoids direct vote. It is used when the assembly does not wish to vote yes or no on a sensitive, embarrassing, or badly worded motion, allowing them to avoid talking a direct position. No automatic reconsideration. Once an article is postponed indefinitely, it cannot be brought back in the same meeting. Limits on reconsideration. While it kills the motion for the current meeting, it does not prevent the issue from being warned and brought up at a future or annual or special meeting. Procedural requirements. Debatable. The motion to postpone indefinitely is debatable, and debate can include the merits of the main motion. It requires a majority vote. Rank, it is the lowest ranking subsidiary motion, meaning it cannot be made while other motions like amendments or to postpone to a specific time are pending. Distinction from table. It is often misused for the motion to lay on the table. In Vermont, Robert's rules for postponing indefinitely is intended for the final disposal, not a temporary delay. The context of Vermont town meeting articles, except for the election of candidates, generally cannot be passed over, but it can be postponed indefinitely. Those are the rules as I was just understanding. So there is a motion on the floor. Do we have it?
Well,
There's,
Stephen's hand is up.
It was just a point of order that we had a motion that hasn't been seconded that I've heard. So this is Jeremy, by the way.
right.
It's been seconded.
Oh, it has?
Yes, it's been seconded. So we have Steve with Carla, but he hasn't called discussion yet.
No, Sasha's
Yep.
made a motion that
Yeah.
hasn't been seconded that I
But
heard.
we need to hear Sasha's motion.
You don't have to be recognized for a point of order. You can just stand up and say it, and we'll hear the point of order.
I just felt confused if we were in discussion or not, or.
We are not in discussion yet.
Okay, but we're going to be, right?
Hopefully. Hope springs eternal. Okay, is this Sasha's amendment?
Well, this is
Sasha, are you moving to postpone indefinitely, which in effect, as we just read, kills the motion?
Well, it doesn't. It kills it at this town meeting, as you mentioned, in 2 separate times in that account, and I appreciate that account. So I think my motion would have worked, but my motion would be, I moved to postpone the vote on Article 11 to an indefinite date after all financial reports have been received, including those for the 2025-2026 fiscal year.
Thank you. Will you hand that up, please? Steve? Okay. It's been moved, and it is, now that this is an official motion, is there a second? Because we really didn't have an official motion until this. Now there's an official motion. Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Now there's discussion on the amendment. Let me, as soon as Paula gets this, I'll do my best.
So, Sasha, you're gonna need to fill in some blanks probably, or send it up.
Sasha, can you send your up here so I can read it correctly? Thank you. Sasha has moved. Sasha says, I move to postpone the vote on Article 11 to an indefinite
A date, D-A-T-E, sorry.
Postpone on Article 11 to an
Okay,
indefinite date.
I move to postpone Article 11 to an indefinite date after all financial reports have been received, including those for 2025 and 2026 fiscal year. Sasha, do I have your amendment correct? Okay. It's been moved. Discussion. We are now on Sasha's amendment. Steve?
So it appears to me,
Say your name every time.
Stephen
Steve.
Farnham, it appears to me that we have the option of indefinite postponement or a date certain, that we don't have, a date certain or indefinitely. It doesn't seem like we have any other option. But we could have a date certain if the select board could say we might have this information ready by a certain time, and then we could set that date. And the reason I raise this point is I assume if we're going to postpone this vote, we'll have to convene a second meeting to vote on it. Am I correct?
Steve, I think that what you can do if you want to is amend Sasha's amendment from indefinite to a certain time.
Well, I'm asking for a recommendation because
Not from me, you're not going to get one.
Well, there's a select board up there. Can they give a date that we can use, that we can set?
Are you making, I'm sorry, Steve, I'm confused. I need to know what you're.
I would make a motion if I had a date to move it to, is my point.
That is out of order at this point.
Okay, so we have a few people.
Okay. We're on the amendment. Jana?
Oh,
Charlie,
I think-
Carla, Jana, Michael.
Okay.
Oh,
Folks got that?
I have the mic in my hand.
You have what? Yeah, that doesn't matter, Jana. No dispensation for wives.
Thank you, Charlie Cogbill. Actually, I have been pondering this exact problem for the past since I received my annual report. I think there's a confusion between the financial report and the budget. The financial report is for the treasurer and assistants and the auditors to present what has happened in the past. The budget proposal is a proposal of the select board. Now we're snookered because the select board could not take into account what the auditors haven't gone over. But the select board budget can stand alone without having those. In fact, I would predict that if we postponed it, we might end up with financial reports, but we would end up with basically the same budget, which is what should be on the table here. So what I suggest is that we have a discussion, we defeat the amendment to pass over, or excuse me, the motion to pass over, and then consider the budget. Yes, we have all heard that the financial reports are coming, who knows when. The town has an audit that's ongoing. The town has consultants. The town has 2 select board members that have gone in great detail over what this budget should be. I think we should get on and discuss the budget and not worry about what is missing that will not change things.
Carlos Siegel again. I don't mean to cause trouble, but information is everything. And some of us have it and some of us don't. And I do trust our elected officials, but we audit for a reason. I don't think we should put the cart before the horse. I think we should mind our P's and Q's. And I think it's the end of democracy when we start saying, oh, trust us, it's fine. We're supposed to be here to look at the information. We're supposed to have time to consider the information. And I just don't think we should rush past that.
Okay.
We pause 1 second. I need a pause. Really.
Just one moment, a moment's recess.
I only got the first part of what you said. Does it matter?
No, I mean, Charlie, we don't need to record it word for word.
Okay, so then Jana.
Okay, Jana? Yes. You have a point of information, too? Oh, okay, thank you. Janice?
I wanted to support, I wanted to say exactly what Charlie said.
Okay. Is there any further discussion on the amendment?
Michael and Jeremy.
Michael?
Michael Billingsley. I just wanted to say, I think this is appropriate, that in our ongoing fiscal year, which ends at the end of June, our present fiscal year is the one that has already been budgeted, and the budget was approved in last year's town meeting that we're living by. I, just speaking for emergency management, have not expended all my budget, and to report on it in part of the year, in other words, if somebody wants, what's going on with emergency management, how much of your budget that we allocated for you have you spent so far? We often spend somewhere close to 40% of our budget in the last 3 months of the fiscal year, and it wouldn't be helpful for you necessarily to know that unless we're vastly off track. So at any point that a report is made about the current year, it's always going to be a shifting landscape because each of the departments is spending money as it goes along as the need arises. So I personally don't feel we're going to gain much by changing the date at which we examine the financial data.
Further discussion on the amendment?
Jeremy. It's Jeremy and then.
That's fine. I've spoken a lot. You can.
Okay.
Which is it?
Yeah, Jeremy first, I believe.
Jeremy, Matt. I also think that we have enough information to vote. We know what the costs are. I'd also be concerned about, these important things that we're trying to fund here being left without a budget indefinitely until we get some financial reports that we don't know when they're going to arrive. I don't know. I think that Charlie said it really well. So yeah, vote no.
Allison Joyo Silveria. My question is, if we don't pass this today, how does this affect, for example, salaries of our road crew, et cetera?
Dan, you want to respond to that?
So the budget year starts July 1st. And so as long as the budget is passed by July 1st, it wouldn't have any effect. I mean, even beyond that, there's provisions if we didn't somehow pass a budget for what our budget would be. So it's not going to affect anybody's salaries. Folks are getting paid regularly.
Okay. Any other further discussion? Betsy? It's coming.
Hi, Betsy Ziegler. I'm just disappointed. I feel like this is no way to run a business. This is our town business, and we should know what we've spent, even if it's 3/4 of the money spent. I have to be on the regional solid waste district, and I sit through long meetings of looking at spreadsheets and looking at quarterly reports. I mean, this is how you should be running an organization, and I'm sorry that this person who was our treasurer was unavailable, but it seems like we're late in fixing that problem.
Karen?
Karen Hatcher. I just want to say that I appreciate all the work that the board did to try and figure out this budget, and I also want to just acknowledge that Josh Pitts put in a lot of time and energy and effort into creating the beginning of this budget. And yeah, it is unfortunate that he took ill, but I think life's not perfect. You know, we've been dealing with a lot of things, and this board has taken on a lot. And I think that the kind of expertise that you went and got in Sarah Macy and the Batchelder Group, consulting with the League of Cities and Towns and doing your best work to create a budget that we, that all of us who worked on it feel pretty good about. I think, I would just say, for me, we should go ahead.
Any further discussion on the on the motion? It's not an amendment; it's a motion. Any further discussion, Steve?
Can you just clarify, if we're voting no on this motion, that means it's going to be defeated and we'll get a second chance to vote yes on the budget, or
The amendment? If you vote no, the amendment will be defeated, and we will go back to the original article. Is that what you're asking? Yes. Any further discussion on the amendment? Glenda, is your hand up? I'm sorry. Okay. Seeing none. I shall read Sasha's amendment. Sasha, please, again, correct me if I get this wrong, because Sasha moves to postpone the vote on Article 2 to an indefinite date after all financial reports have been received.
Article 11.
I didn't. Oh, Article 11, yeah. Thank you. I move to postpone the vote on Article 11 to an indefinite date after all financial reports have been received, including those for 25-26 fiscal year. All those in favor of the amendment say aye. All those opposed say no. No. The noes appear to have it, and the nays do have it, and we are back to the original article. Further discussion on Article 11. If you are ready for the question. Yep. Betsy.
Okay, I'm looking at the, I think I'm looking at the budget. Where in the budget is there money allocated for the Central Vermont Solid Waste Planning District? I don't see it. Under what area? Aren't we talking about the budget? Am I sorry? Am I at the wrong?
No, I think that we're on Article 11, which does not.
Yes, okay, maybe I'm in the wrong spot, but I'm asking the select board where in the select board's budget did they allocate money for the Central Vermont Solid Waste Planning District? Thank you.
Okay. Dan? Yeah, so we have a section of the budget called public safety. I'm looking at let me see if I can find it on the pages because I'm looking at the spreadsheet. Page 46. Number 75, apparently. You guys are there faster than me because I was looking at the spreadsheet. There you go. It should be $1,900 for solid waste. Okay. Page 46, line 75.
Thank you. That wasn't clear to me. Thank you.
Yeah. Bob?
Bob Atkinson, Energy Coordinator. On page, I talked with Carl about this yesterday, but on page 45, line 64, the energy conservation budget was put into the Conservation Commission budget. So I'd just like that to be weeded out. It's not going to change the amount at all in the overall budget figure, but I'd just like that to be put there.
Donnie? So in an effort to make our computer system work better, Josh was implementing some changes. It's really hard for our system if like literally one thing is its own department, so like energy. So we've been grouping things into departments. So your $500 budget is still your budget. It's just the way that it comes out on here. And the Conservation Commission has their own written. We just have to group things. So like for example, solid waste being part of the public safety grouping. It's just the way that our online system works. And so we're trying to have this budget match what we use in the online system so there's less confusion as we actually try to track things. I know there's been a regular problem of folks not knowing exactly how much might be in certain accounts or which committees have which budgets left. And so we're as in a way to do that, and we may be able to change the title of it in the future from Conservation Commission to Environmental Commissions or something, but that's the reason they're together.
Okay.
It's not that they're in control of the budget.
Well, in trying to avoid confusion, you created confusion.
Confusion for you, less confusion for office staff.
All right.
Okay, further discussion? Article 11. Charlie?
Yeah, Charlie Cogbill. I've always been confused whether we can line item change the budget. That's just an open question. We certainly can change the bottom line, but I'm not going to address that right now. The only thing in the budget that this body has control over are the salaries paid town officers. That's by statute and by our charter. That's a point of information. I want to jump on to the budget itself. The budget itself, it proposes about 15% more expenditures, but that is balanced by revenues. Two lines of revenues, one hold harmless, $180,000, and another prior year surplus. I hate to say who determined prior year surplus after all the discussion, but there's $200,000 in the budget. That brings the budget below level funded tax needs from the town. I would hope that the various items, such as the flood, received as revenues for reimbursement that would come in this fiscal year. I would assume that there are many other things that are totally unable to estimate. But as it sits now, we have a better than level budget, and we have an opportunity to vote that, which is our taxes. I would say with all the uncertainties, this is about the best we're ever going to get. So I support voting that as the budget and let it play out as it plays out. And we might hope to have $200,000 more in previous year because it was wrong.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I'll just explain the previous year surplus. So a big part of our flood work is actually like our road crew spending time and energy on flood recovery, flood repair stuff. And so we're paying them in this year, we're paying their salaries and things like that in this year. And so when we get reimbursed, a lot of the reimbursement money comes right to the town. And so not all of it, but some of it is what we're putting forward. And I'll say, Josh Pitts had a whole spreadsheet of I mean, I think he feels we could have a bigger number there. But in working with Sarah Macy, who's the director of finance from St. Albans Town, and working with our auditor, we felt the most conservative and comfortable number that we could put as prior year surplus was the 200,000. I will say Peter and I spent a frantic 4 or 5 days getting ourselves to a budget that was even or at 2% without that 200,000, and then we reinstated funding once we found out for sure that that 200,000 was there. But we did have a plan A, plan B scenario in case we decided we couldn't do the surplus. But so 3 different folks, our treasurer, the director of finance from St. Albans, and our auditor all felt that that 200,000 was a justifiable and pretty conservative number.
Further discussion? Article 11. If you are ready for the question is, shall the town approve total fund expenditures of $1,842,047.44 to pay for administrative operations, fire and rescue department and highway department of the town of Plainfield for the period of July 1, 2026 to June 30, 2027, of which $1,326,787.44 shall be raised by taxes and $515,260 by non-tax revenue. All those in favor of Article 11, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you've passed Article 11. Article 12. Article 12 reads, shall the town of Plainfield authorize the select board to apply any surplus from the current fiscal year to reduce taxes in the next fiscal year? May I have a motion on Article 12, please?
Second, Jeremy.
Been moved and seconded to pass Article 12. Discussion. Seeing none. All those in favor of Article 12 say aye. Is there up? Yep, go ahead, sorry.
Steve, we got a comment over there.
There was
Where? Up behind you.
Garfield Barnes. I was just Garfield Barnes.
Your name, please.
Garfield Barnes.
Thank you.
And I was just wondering if anything that was left over could be reserved as a contingency for, you know, like a rainy day, rather than going through and having to have everybody get back 57 cents or $2 and whatever it might be. Is that possible? Dan?
Well, it is our choice. So what typically happens is if there's unattributed surplus in June, at the end of June, before anybody gets a tax bill, that surplus would then be put towards the next year, and then the tax bills would be decided on. So the idea is it would buy down tax bills before the tax bills happen. And so this taxable amount that we just set of to raise of $1,326,000, et cetera, could become smaller if we have extra money. So that's the idea. We definitely don't have to do that. It's, I think, what we've done, at least as long as I've been in town, but it is a way for us to ensure the lowest tax rate possible for the residents of Plainfield.
Further discussion on Article 12. If you're ready for the question is, shall the town of Plainfield authorize the select board to apply any surplus from the current fiscal year to reduce taxes in the next fiscal year? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you've passed Article 12. Article 13. Shall the town vote to accept the provisions of public statutes relating to the collection of taxes by the town treasurer, VSA Section 32, Section 4791, and vote to collect municipal taxes 30 days from mailing and not prior to August 19, 2026, and collect school taxes on November 18, 2026, and February 10, 2027, collecting half the total school taxes on each of those dates. May I have a motion on Article 13? Been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion on Article 13. None? Seeing none? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you've passed Article 13. Article 14, to transact any other business that may properly come before the meeting. Michael?
Thank you. Michael Billingsley. I wanted to take this opportunity because it's going to be pretty clearly to me my last report as Emergency Management Director. I announced to the Select Board in November, I think that I was planning to step down in the spring. It was a soft date initially, although I did have May 1st as my assistant is leaving her job, and I felt it would be hard to continue after that in full capacity. But I fell down a flight of stairs in December and tripped at the top and permanently pulled a tendon away from my shoulder and had a concussion and stuff. And so I pretty much saw that as a sign that I better be definite. I knew that exhaustion and distraction played into that, and I don't think at this point I didn't want to celebrate my 80th birthday in June and still be in this capacity. So I'm pulling away from it. But in the context of doing that, I also wanted to say that what lies ahead, on some level, I can be very optimistic about. We have, and on another level, I'm feeling a little bit glum. But first of all, we do have, and probably I should say for the first time in a long time, we have a very solid public safety presence. And I'm using public safety in this context, not the way it's written in the budget, but the way it's defined at the state level. There is a Department of Public Safety. Underneath of it are the police, which would be equivalent to our constable. There's also emergency management. There's also hazard mitigation. There's also all of the attendant things to keep people safe. That's what public safety is. And here in town, we have a really wonderful team right now with a constable, a public health officer, a emergency management coordinator, animal control officer, and an emergency management assistant and GIS mapper. And in order to go forward to have those services continued to be present for the town, I'm laying and have been laying that groundwork for the last 6 months. So I can announce that I have two very strong candidates to take my place, and that they will be stepping into position when I retire on the 1st of May. I'm also working on finding the funding to have another emergency management assistant paid for, in this case by AmeriCorps, starting in the summer, working under the new person who would take my place. So we can look forward to that. And then in the past, of course, we've had an enormously grueling year, actually, as Karen Hatcher certainly can speak to, and Josh. But our funding group started out with all of the multiple ways in which we've lost money, in which we've been hurt as a town by a constant procession of floods and financial disasters, in a sense, because there's a lot of costs going out And we still don't know that all of those costs and monies are going to come back. And so with our volunteers, people who have put in tremendous amount of time, we've pulled through that particular rough patch. We're now waiting to see what the federal government would do. I mean, I'm familiar, as most of you are, that floods and were about our biggest issue all along in history. I mean, I grew up in Northfield and went to elementary school there, and I saw floods in Northfield, and there are floods in any valley town, and we're going to see those again in the future. What we've always counted on is having the federal government assist us. We've always counted on the fact that when we, and it's through the state, a lot of that funding comes. The state receives a big chunk of money from FEMA. And what I now know is that this war that has just gotten engaged in the last 3 days is costing $1 billion a day. That money is coming from the, quote, savings accomplished by DOGE as they gutted federal department after federal department and took away many of the skilled people that have helped our country navigate through enormous disasters. We've lost a skilled team, or part of a skilled team, and we're lost the money. Just got the notification on Thursday that FEMA, which has taken a lot of its budget under the decision of the Director of Homeland Security, under which FEMA is, they're almost out of money. They haven't been putting new money in, and they have not been basically squirreling away money for an increasingly damaging future from the point of view of climate. So we're all going to have to pull together a whole lot more than we have. And our state will be greatly stressed because the 30% or so of what our disaster recovery costs, and it come in some instances up to close to 75%, has been coming from the feds, may not come anymore. So I'm just kind of warning you in an encouraging way to believe that, yes, Vermont is probably in a better position to weather all of the likely disasters that are still heading down the pike toward us, because climate is not getting any cooler. The amount of moisture in the environment is not reducing, it's increasing, which means the storms that we have will continue to both pound us and perhaps pound us with more water than even we experienced last year, which is unbelievable and hard to take in. So I want all of you to pull together, please, to put aside the bickering, to put aside all the ways in which you might not comfortably work together, because we're going to need to work together. We need to be a team, no matter what our backgrounds are, our education, whether we voted for or against Trump, whether or not we support any particular kind of political party. This is a Vermont town with a long history, and a lot of that history has included disasters where people have pulled together in the past, and I'm encouraging you to continue to do that again in the future. And I hope from the town's point of view that we can have a skilled emergency management team working to see our way through each disaster as it occurs. But I thank you for all your support, for the select board support, and for everyone else's support, and let us go forward, hopefully with optimism and collaboration.
Thank you, Michael. I know I speak for this entire town when I say, to say you have gone above and beyond is the understatement of the year. Michael has been phenomenal. Thank you so much for all you've given. Other business. Becky?
Yes. Pies. We still have some pie slices here. And if you've already had a piece and would like to put your used fork in this container, we will give it back to you next year. but it'll be clean. So please bring your forks back and come and get another piece of pie. We've got about, I don't know how many, but they look wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob, are you?
per usual, Michael is a extremely hard act to follow. But I just want to give you a quick little summary from Energy Coordinator. We've started to spend down the Municipal Energy Resilience Program grant money, MERP, and the town garage has benefited from 2 brand new overhead doors that, guess what, you don't have to climb down out of the grader to get the door open by pulling the chainsaw. You push a little button and it goes open for you. So there's a big improvement there that I'm hoping is much appreciated. And we've also contracted for solar array for the roof of the town garage. And I was able to get the group net metering thing in place so that that power can be shared throughout the other buildings owned by the town. So that's going on. We're going to have a few meetings with the, quote, building managers coming up and seeing what we can best do for each facility as we go down through that. It's been really difficult, everybody knows, by having budget cuts that Michael was referring to. We've lost the 30% incentive as of the end of last year. There are still opportunities through Efficiency Vermont because by ratepayers as a demand side utility. So would you please read my report and the town report? And if you got any questions, please see me and we will see if we can work out the best way together. Solar still remains a very good value and a way to make power that is not involved with the fossil fuels of the world. Take care. Thank you.
Okay, it's going to be next up Paula, Karen, and then Jeremy.
I have a question. I'm Paula Emery. Can you hear me? Are your hands up? Okay, you're on stack. I have a question about page 21, statement of delinquent taxes. The amount, the balance owed for 2024 seems so high, 55,000. And I was wondering if anybody on the select board could speak to that. Does this have to do with the flood? Are these taxes, are people who lost their homes still responsible for paying taxes? And I just would love to hear a little bit of information about how that works.
Peter?
And Sasha, here's your notebook.
Peter Youngbear. Paul, I heard 2 different questions there. I'll take the second one first. Do people who lost their homes, are they still paying taxes? The answer is yes, but in most cases, the listers, and if not all cases, and the listers can correct me here if I'm wrong, but the land values and house values were much reduced. There was a major, I can't remember how many, some 30, 32, 36 properties where we abated taxes in the year immediately following the flood. And then the reappraisals took those reduced values into account. So that's that. The first part of your question had to do with the delinquent tax collectors report. And I was just trying to look back to the year before from last year's report. It is not unusual to see a high number in the most recent year. What it doesn't show, this is also for the year that ended June 30th. So it's not what's going on in the current year. This is the report for the year that ended already. So,
Karen? Steve?
Thank you. I just wanted to take a moment to thank and acknowledge Carl Bissix. You are well loved, Carl, and you will be missed on this board, but I'm sure you will be everywhere the way you have been. I just have been honored to work with you these last 2 years. There is no one with a bigger heart for this town than you. And I don't know what I would have done without you as a partner. And I just want to say how much I love you, and I appreciate all that you've done and all the ways that you have led during these really, really difficult times. So thank you for being my friend and for being our friend. Appreciate it.
Karen, I would just like to take a moment to say amen. Jeremy, you're up.
Hi, everyone. Well, that was a tough act to follow. Just wanted to give a quick update on CV Fiber. I don't really have anything prepared, but some really good news. We got a rather large grant from the federal government that will allow us to continue building, and we'll build out the rest of our network. We are going to all addresses that are on grid is kind of a little bit of the line. There's some detail there. If you want to talk to me, I'm over here. The other good news is that Plainfield is kind of front of the line. Plainfield, Marshfield, Orange, that area is where our first phase of build is going to be once the BEAD funding arrives. However, that is a little bit of a uncertainty because there's so much federal red tape that needs to be completed. There's, you know, this review and that review and environmental reviews. I don't have a firm date still, which is frustrating. You know, I've been at this for, you know, close to a decade now trying to push this forward, and we're still working on it, and we still don't have a date of like, we're going to be served by this and such a date, but we're getting close, and yeah, if you have any questions, come by and have a chat with me. Thanks all.
Alicia? Oh, I'm sorry, I got it out of order, but Betsy's next after.
You're out of order. Alicia Weiss, I am a member and the current chair of the Plainfield Accessibility Advisory Group, and I want to sorry, okay, better. I'm a New Yorker, I always think I'm too loud, thanks. I want to recognize that, I want us all to think about the fact that although some people chose not to come today, there are people who are not represented in this room because they couldn't be here for accessibility reasons. Accessibility means more than having a lift, which I'm glad we have. Vermont is one of the unique states in our union, if you will, that has voting laws that fly in the face of the Americans with Disability Act and its own disability laws, which in fact are more expansive than the ADA. The ADA needs to be the floor. It doesn't need to be the ceiling, and we have made our disability protections for inclusion stronger in Vermont. But the Vermont voting laws, which, you know, began hundreds of years ago, and more recently, the Secretary of State's interpretation of them have really amounted, whether intentionally or not, to voter suppression for many, many people with disabilities. And that's not all. People who are not able to be in the room, maybe people with children with special, you know, with needs that can't be accommodated at the daycare, which we thoughtfully provide. People who are elderly, people with transportation issues, a variety. People, it's a class issue. People who don't get this day off, can't afford to take a day off unpaid, and don't have personal days. Why am I telling you this other than to say, gee, what a bummer? I mean, we really think of ourselves as being a very caring, inclusive state and town. The Accessibility Advisory Committee is going to be launching a public education and outreach program this year, which our intention is to bring an article for the somewhat revision of how we do town meeting, some alterations, modifications to this group next year, okay, as an article. What I'm asking you is to just, we all have really busy lives and we all get way too many notifications, but we really need everyone to, when we put out calls for input or we have public meetings, because we want to educate people and we want to hear what you have to say. We want to come to a solution together, not by us showing up and suggesting one or trying to impose one. Please take time out of your schedules to think about the people who may want to be here and aren't. We pride ourselves a lot on participatory democracy in Vermont, but it's not participatory democracy if people can't attend. Floor votes are usually maybe only 2%, as they're currently conducted, of people in a town. There are ways to make that better. We can do better. Vermont actually ranked 49th in terms of disability voting access, which I think is pretty appalling. So again, thank you all for being here, and thank you all for being the people I know we are as a town who care. And I'd like to echo Michael's request, his ask, or maybe even plea for us to come together. Social media, I often feel that we as a species have not evolved as quickly as our technology is. And social media, for all its good, evils, and in between, seems to have unleashed a tendency for us to put things out there without thinking about the effect, things we might not say to people, or might not say to people if we didn't, or might not say if we didn't have access to public media. And this goes for everyone. Let's not just be critical, let's think critically. If there, I see on all ends of the spectrum, all political sides, all sides of issues in this town that have been divisive, I see people making assumptions and attributions about people they don't know. What is their motivation for doing this? What is their motivation for not wanting to do this? Ask someone, or at least put the question out there. But please, let's stop assuming that we know why people are taking positions they're taking. As Michael says, we're going to need each other a lot more. It's not just in terms of environment. Right now, states are scrambling to ensure voting rights, because federally, there's a good chance they're going to be decimated. We really need each other for the good people we are. And finally, I want to say thank you to Michael. You are unbelievable. You're sort of in many ways, not all, but many ways, who I want to be when I grow up, as an ethical, conscious, and someone with mindful service. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you. I just want to say a couple things. Betsy Ziegler is my name. I'm requesting that in the next report we say it's the Central Vermont Solid Waste Management District that's receiving the money from, so that it's not confused with the Northeast Kingdom. There's other solid waste management districts. Okay, thank you. And the Solid Waste Management District has now opened the Eco Depot, which is up on Granger Road, and it will take all kinds of hazardous waste. It will also take especially recyclable items such as batteries, light bulbs, other devices like computers, anything that has mercury, propane tanks, etc., etc. If you're not sure what to do with something that needs to be disposed, check their website or call them or email them. But you can make an appointment Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So they're open now, and a lot of the alternative recycling items are free. So thank you. And the other thing is, as a representative, I could use an alternate. I could use an alternative too, but anyway, we could use an alternate. So if there's anybody interested, they're a really well-run organization, and it's usually worthwhile spending their time at the meeting. I want to say one more thing. Thank you to the people who are leaving us and who have put in so much over the last years. Dan Fingus, Carl Bissett. And I also want to say thank you to our town clerk, Bram Tobin, who is leaving as well. All of you and many others have served us with unbelievable amount of time and energy over the last few years. Not much. Thank you.
Ray, I believe you have something. Make a statement and then hand it up to us, please.
Ray Carter, two things. One is there's an update on the Plainfield Resilience Hub info sheet floating around. That's an update from what's in the town report. If you are interested, it's on a few different tables. And I'm also here to make a motion for a non-binding advisory resolution to petition the Vermont State Legislature to adopt the right to grow food and restore the regulation of farming and farm businesses to the Vermont Agency of Agriculture, Food, and Markets. I've never done this before, so I don't know if I say something else.
He said, I make a motion that. And
So I am making a motion for the non-binding advisory resolution.
Second, Jeremy.
Okay, if you hand it up, I'll hang on. Not the microphone. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's mine.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, can I have my copy?
Okay, yes. Okay. So it's been moved and seconded. This is the right to grow food. This is how Ray's resolution reads. A non-binding resolution to petition the state legislature to adopt the right to grow food and restore the regulation of farming and farm business to the Vermont Agency of Agriculture and Food Markets. This non-binding resolution is intended to encourage the state legislature to restore the long-standing exemption for farms and municipal zonings and to codify the right to grow food that clearly includes the right to raise livestock and to sell agricultural products. The Vermont Supreme Court ruled on May 30th, 2025, re Taft Street, DRB and NOV Appeals, 2025, Vermont, that farming is not exempt from all municipal regulation. Instead, the court interpreted exemption in 24 VSA section 4413D 1A, the multiple zoning statute, as a reference only to the policies and standards intended to reduce agricultural and water pollution. The court concluded that municipalities may regulate all aspects of farming that do not relate to water quality, thereby setting a new precedent in stark contrast to the previous statewide understanding that farming is exempt from municipal regulations. Granting municipalities this new authority allows them to determine where farming may or may not occur and potentially require new permitting for events, farm structures, and other farming activities, all of which would add regulatory hurdles, operational costs, and additional burdens to farms, many of which already struggle with financial vulnerability and viability, as all qualifying farms are subject to RAPs, Required Agricultural Practices, overseen by the Vermont Agency of Agriculture and Food Markets, regardless of their relationship to a water body. This ruling and newly granted authority creates a confusing and complex, regardless of their relationship to this ruling and newly granted authority creates a confusing and complex mosaic of regulatory oversight that farms now face, which depend on where a farm is located. It could be subject to different levels of local regulations and oversight that others are not exposed to. Town by town farm regulation variances create a patchwork of regulatory framework across the state, which will be difficult to navigate and administer. This ruling also raises questions for farmers whose operations cross town lines, potentially requiring different regulations for different parts of their farm properties, all subject to change over time. Allowing municipalities to regulate private and commercial food production threatens the agricultural economy with inconsistent and destabilizing regulations for farmers across the state, as well as for institutions that help keep farming alive in Vermont. Farmers are already grappling with many emergent challenges, including flooding and other impacts of a changing climate, changes to federal funds, and widespread inflation. Opening the door for municipal regulation of farms contradicts the long-standing policies, culture, and precedent that has protected Vermonters' rights to farm the land they have access to, hindering Vermont's ability to produce its own food, and by extension, compromising the state's food security. The long-standing interpretation of the legislative intent has been that agriculture is not subject to municipal regulations, including practices defined by the jurisdiction of the State Agency of Agriculture, Food, and Markets. Almost there, folks. The new ruling diverges from this interpretation intent and now draws a distinction between regulation of agricultural practices broadly and the regulation of agricultural practices as they apply specifically to water quality impacts. This resolution proposes to resolve this divergence and return the ag exemption of 24 VSA section 4413D1A back to its original intent, as well as to codify the right to grow food for anyone engaging in substance or cultivating practices that are beneath the criteria of the RAP rule in order to protect the rights of the public to engage in food growing practices on any land they have access to. Has there been a second? Been moved and seconded. Discussion. Oh. Oh, I'm sorry. There's a back page. Okay. Okay, I'm going to skip this part. Be it resolved. Here's. I think this is the meat of it. Ray, please correct me if I have this wrong, please. Therefore, be it resolved that the town of Plainfield petitions the legislature of the state of Vermont to restore the municipal zoning exemption for farming and ensure statewide consistency in the regulation of farming and agriculture under the authority and expertise of the Vermont Agency of Agriculture, Food, and Markets. Codify the right to grow food that explicitly includes livestock. Protect the right of Vermonters to grow, raise, produce, donate, and sell the food they have produced. Relieve municipalities of unintended regulatory burdens resulting from judicial interpretation. This resolution is in solidarity with ongoing organizing and advocacy of rural Vermont, the Vermont Farm Bureau, Agrimark, Cabot, Vermont Dairy Producers Alliance, NOFA Vermont, Vermont Association of Conservation Districts, and the Connecticut River Watershed Farmers Alliance, Farm to Plate, American Farmland Trust, the Land Access and Opportunity Board, more organizations and farmers and communities, and more across our state. Discussion.
To this, Janice. I'm not calling on you, he's calling on you, I'm just pointing it out.
Okay, yeah.
Toby Buxton, could you read sentence number 8 in paragraph 64? No, I'm just kidding. So that was way too much. So could you just read what the resolution is? Not the whole. Yeah, okay.
I thought I just did.
I
but
fell
I'm happy to
asleep
do
in the
it
preamble, but because I agree with that. But
I'm happy to do it again.
Thank you.
So the resolution, therefore be it resolved that the town of Plainfield petitions the legislature of the state of Vermont to restore the municipal zoning exemption for farming and ensure statewide consistency in the regulation of farming and agriculture under the authority and expertise of the Vermont Agency of Agriculture, Food and Markets. That's one bullet point. The second bullet point, codify a right to grow food that explicitly includes livestock. The next bullet point, protect the right of Vermonters to grow, raise, produce, donate, and sell the food they have produced. And the final bullet point, relieve municipalities of unintended regulatory burdens resulting from judicial interpretation. Ray, I just want to make sure we have it exactly right, wherever you are.
Yeah, I did not write this.
Yes.
This is, yes, that is what is proposed by all of those organizations.
Okay, further discussion in that case. Ellen? Oh, I'm sorry, where are we? Janice first, and then Ellen, I think.
I just want to speak from a town perspective and a member of the DRB, adding more municipal rules by volunteer boards in towns that we don't have any expertise over controlling farms and people growing food is not a wise idea. So as a town representative, if somebody has to enforce rules, I do not support what happened in the law, and I support us wholeheartedly allowing people to grow food and to care for animals. And there are other ways, if we find issues with people care for livestock, we can deal with that through animal control and through the state's humane situation. So we don't need more laws in towns to regulate things that we already have laws for. And we need people to be able to grow food and share food without municipal rules. So that's what I want to say.
Ellen?
I don't know about
We need your
everyone
name
else.
again, Ellen, sorry.
What's that?
Your name, please.
Oh, Ellen Selkowitz.
Thank you.
I didn't have a chance of being able to process all that. I can't imagine that I wouldn't want to support this, just based on what I could understand. But I find it really difficult when we have non-binding proposals at the end of long meetings to really be informed about voting on them. And this is more of a question about that process. I know we can't warn these proposals ahead of time if they're non-binding, but can we at least get information ahead of time from anybody who is planning to propose something new?
Okay, in the balcony?
Yeah, I support what Ray proposed. I know she didn't write that.
You have to give your name, please.
Deb Bonwell. I used to work at the co-op. From everything I've been reading online, there is a tremendous amount of pressure from the billionaires to greatly suppress our freedom of sovereignty with seed saving, food growing, and keeping it within our freedom to be able to do. They have a large intention, Bill Gates specifically, who owns a great percentage of every seed bank on the planet, to interfere with our freedom as far as seed savings, food sovereignty globally. It's not just here that they're trying to do this to. And I feel like this is an extremely important thing that we need to be researching. I'm very upset the fact that that legislation has already inhibited our ability to do some of this, and they have every intention of pushing that envelope as far as they can. Just something to think about.
We're still on Ray's proposal. Anybody, any further discussion? Ray?
Ray Carter. This information has been circulating through the different organizations that were mentioned, being asked to be on town meeting agendas. And it wasn't until 6 o'clock last night that I was asked to do this. And so I did the best that I could. I know that it would be pushback around the non-binding resolution. And I took a risk to bring this forward because I think it's important for this community. As a farmer, as the volunteer manager of the farmers market, I printed out on my own printer a couple of copies to hand it and did the best that I could to bring this forward. This is something that is going to impact us all, and this is something that Marshfield already passed and other towns are passing, and rather than it being called on individuals to contact state legislators over and over, which we are already doing for so many reasons, this is something that the whole town can communicate about, and I will take the responsibility of, if it does pass, go and make sure that that's reported back so that it gets back to the legislature. Thank you so much.
Are you ready for the question, or is there more discussion? Yeah, I think we're there, if I may. So the question is, if there's no more, the question is, therefore, be it resolved that the town of Plainfield petitions the legislature of the state of Vermont to restore the municipal zoning exemption for farming and ensure statewide consistency in the regulation of farming and agriculture under the authority and expertise of the Vermont Agency of Agriculture, Food and Markets. Next bullet point, codify the right to grow food that is that explicitly includes livestock. Bullet point, protect the right of Vermonters to grow, raise, produce, donate, and sell food they have produced. And the last bullet point, relieve municipalities of the unintended regulatory burdens resulting from judicial interpretation. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you have passed the resolution. Okay, I got 4 people on stack. Janice, Deborah, Paula, and Michael.
I was going to do the same resolution, so.
Okay, Deborah.
All right, so another non-binding resolution that I would like to bring to the town is that I would like the town of Plainfield to urge to make a statement. We know this is non-binding, but to make a statement that we urge the abolishment of ICE to keep all of our citizens safe.
Okay, can you hand it up, Deborah? Do you have it written?
I just scribbled it.
We'll do our best to interpret scribble. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. It's discussion.
Immigration and customs enforcement is what ICE is.
All right, let's see if I can read the scribble here. Are you ready for the question? If you're ready for the question, that is a non-binding statement that the town of Plainfield recognize that the town of Plainfield demands the abolishment of ICE and to keep
all of our citizens.
and to keep all our citizens safe. So the statement that we abolish ICE and keep all the citizens safe, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to amend that
We need your name, please.
Michael Moreland, I would like to amend that to all of our citizens and residents safe.
Okay. Deborah, if that's a friendly amendment, we can just accept it.
Yes, and I want to say that even though this is just a non-binding resolution, what's important about it is that this would go into the papers
right? So others around the state of Vermont would see that there are towns that want to ensure that all their citizens and residents are safe.
Okay, I'm just waiting a minute while Paula puts this in a form I can read. Any further discussion while we're waiting? In that case,
Wait. To keep, what did you say, all of our residents?
okay. So it has been moved and seconded that the town of Plainfield demands the abolishment of ICE to keep all of our citizens and residents safe. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it, the ayes do have it, and we've passed the resolution. Paula, you're up next.
And Michael, you're up after me. I am the Plainfield representative to the Central Vermont Regional. Oh, sorry. My name's Paula Emery. I am your Plainfield representative to the Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission. That means, I want you to think about region as a watershed, as a bioregion, right? We are one little speck in a much bigger place. So when we talk about responsible development and all that, I really want to encourage people to join me when I go to these meetings. We meet, they're really excellent conversations most of the time. You can go by Zoom, or you can ride in a car with me to Montpelier. And a lot of times there's pizza. So it's the second Tuesday of every month. And it's fascinating, and it will help. It can help to sort of build understanding for people who want to really focus on responsible development.
Okay. Michael, I think you're next.
Michael Billingsley. Before we all disband, I wanted to quickly also add that in addition to the people we know have been working out front, helping the town, and particularly people like Dan and Peter and Karen, who sort of officially are visible as helping us recover from our disaster. There are also two people whose efforts are also heroic and involve not just hours, but weeks and weeks and weeks of solid effort on whose coattails I now and others are getting the benefit, particularly in terms of grants that were written or programs that are coming to fruit or repairs to our highways, and that is Gary Smith, who has just retired as from the funding group and whose work was incredibly important in breaking down the the Brook Road and other assorted infrastructure projects, and also Michael Zahner, who, although a Marshfield resident, devoted an incredible amount of time to help us get through a state and federal process to bring into the town hundreds of thousands of dollars, which we are in the process of putting to work. So I'd like to just add my thanks.
Peter Youngbear's up.
Yeah, I would like to sort of make an announcement and to extend an invitation. Several folks, Betsy, Paula, stand up and say they are our representative to such and such a committee or commission, et cetera. Most of those are annual appointments, and those will all come up a week from now when the new select board has what is known in the statute as its organizational meeting. I can tell you in the approximately year and a quarter that I've been on the select board that we often get a request to appoint someone to a committee or a commission to fill a vacancy, and we don't know for how long that term is because we really haven't paid close attention to that for a while. I have been comparing the list that appears in the beginning of this year's annual report with last year's, and there are innumerable inconsistencies in the terms. And we've been trying to get that straightened out. But in the meantime, if you are one of those appointees and would like to be reappointed, please contact Jamie at the town clerk's office and let them know. They've been keeping a list, and let's certainly let the select board know. And if you know the term of your office, we need to know that as well. This is something we've been trying to clean up along with a number of other things, and your help is appreciated. On the town website has been a list of vacancies. Those continue. We need, and it's in the back of the report, we do need you all to chip in and help out. We cannot do it without the volunteer work. So please step up. Please let us know if you'd like to continue. Please let us know if you'd like to serve. Thank you.
Is there anything else to come up under other business? Seeing none, I would be more than delighted to entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? All those in favor of adjournment say aye. Aye. All those opposed, keep it quiet.